I want a mocha frappuccino.
Do
you have any Gouda?
Can I get like a Gouda, like a layer of
I just want a
Gouda froth on top?
Yeah, I just
want
a froth Gouda layer froth? Of Gouda.
Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast. This is Rob.
It's Freddy.
On this episode, we're going to talk about some of the big summer releases that have hit theaters in the last month or so, discuss our reactions to the DC entertainment side of things with the Batman, Superman, and Suicide Squad trailers, as well as a review of Marvel's Ant-Man, while it's still relevant, which I guess is, another day or two before everybody's talking about something else, Freddie?
Yeah. And we're also going to catch you up into some of the movies that we've been watching. I guess for me, TV shows, because you don't watch them.
Well, no. It's also summer. What TV shows have you even been watching now?
There's Netflix. There's always TV shows
that's
to watch.
True. Yeah, good point. What am I thinking? I'm in the mindset of like 10, 15 years ago where it was like, oh, nothing on NBC. Yeah. Where, what was it? I think it's NBC who, like, back in the day was like, oh, if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. And when they would do reruns, they're like, oh, yeah, but it's not really.
Netflix is coming out with more and more original stuff, the stand-up or TV shows movies.
I saw that they had the Chris Tucker one. I wanted to check that out because, we like...
It's not really that good.
It's not really that good?
No, it's terrible. Yeah, I thought it was... in comparison, it's not really that funny.
What is it? Just basically him yelling, really the whole thing, like "God damn!"
It's when someone, like in Family Guy.
Yeah,
I'm familiar. Like you're like like when they hurt themselves.
It goes on so long,
and it goes on for so long. It's kind of like that.
Except it never comes back around to being funny again.
Except it's not funny.
Oh man, that's just sad.
Yeah, it's like he'll go on and do something, act out a scene or whatever, and it's just like, at least for me, this is my opinion. It didn't come off as funny. So
curious to check it out, but if nothing else, then just to be like, aw, Chris Tucker, you were so famous in 2001. And now you're kind of like just there, I guess.
I mean, there were like a couple funny parts and stuff, but for the most part, it wasn't for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what was for you then? Not the Chris Tucker Live special.
As far as Netflix original stuff or
whatever. Were we supposed to be catching up on what we've been watching? So
I wasn't sure if we were doing Netflix. If we're doing Netflix,
it's a movie podcast, but we talk about TV sometimes.
You can pretty much do anything Netflix, and you can't go wrong as long as it's not really stand up. Because
those are kind of hit and miss.
Yeah, but I like the Daredevil, of course.
Well, yeah, but were you rewatching that already?
Huh?
Are you rewatching that again?
I rewatched. I watched that 2 times.
Oh, I've been testing with my getting my wife ready for watching that because I'm like, oh, maybe we could watch it because she really likes Full House. Our age group, we grew up with that, so she that was like her show. She's like, oh, Full House. And this has like a special place in her heart as far as nostalgia. And obviously Netflix has Fuller House, like the updated version of that coming on soon. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, well, I'll watch that with you, but you're going to have to give me some Daredevil time. So
aren't they doing that with something else? They're doing like a sequel or some of something or
there's a bunch of stuff. They're bringing Heroes back. They're bringing that's Heroes not Netflix, back. But NBC's bringing Heroes back. Fox is bringing X-Files back. I think, what is it? I don't even remember. ABC or CBS is bringing Coach back. I don't even know if you even remember that show because you were...
I heard of it, but I hadn't watched it.
Right.
But there's a movie on Netflix that they are doing like a sequel to. And...
Are you sure it's not the Joe Dirt one? Is that what you're thinking? Because that's on Crackle.
No, I wouldn't do
that. That was like the... Well, I don't know. That actually is as ridiculous as it is. That Joe Dirt sequel is sort of groundbreaking in that it is like the first digital release for a sequel to a theatrical movie. Yeah. So that's kind of a big deal with the changing time and all that. Plus, let's break it down. No studio wanted to put money for the Joe Dirt sequel, so they're just like, Crackle's like, we have some money, and David Spade's like, sold.
Well, as far as you can't go wrong with anything. I've heard House of Cards is good, but I haven't seen that.
Right.
Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt.
That was nominated for a bunch
really
of Emmys.
good.
Actually, since we're talking TV, we should probably touch base on that. That was nominated for a bunch of Emmys recently that just came out.
Yeah,
like,
that was.
this week, I think, or last week.
I watched it when it first came out on Netflix, because I heard that it was really good, and I heard that everyone in the shows had they had honor, very memorable acting,
right.
Scenes. So I watched it and it was really, really good. I can't wait for the second sequel.
It was created by Tina Fey, right? That was
yeah.
And I heard it's very 30 Rock in tone, and I was a big fan of 30 Rock. So it's sort of that same like absurdist kind of humor, sort of satirical, but like over the top to the point where you're like, what the fuck is going on in this show?
Yeah,
almost.
Crouching Tiger.
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. I knew about that too. It wasn't coming to my head. It wasn't coming to mind because I've written about that.
That's the one that's the one that I read about.
Okay.
So yeah, they're doing that. They started out doing TV shows. Now they're doing movies, and they're picking up stuff. I hope, which is something that's going to be our encore segment. There's something there's something that's a show that's on there that I hope they pick up for a second or a third season.
Okay.
So, because they got canceled, and it's really, really funny. So.
Wait, it got canceled. Is it a network show or is it a Netflix show originally?
It's a network show.
That now has got canceled, and now you're like,
that's
man,
what I'm
pick
saying.
it up.
I hope they pick it up. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So,
they also put like this thing on. They like to swoop in and do that.
Tignataro or something like that.
What?
There's this show that just came out on Netflix called Tignataro or something like that, and it's supposed to be funny. I think.
Interesting.
And just a whole bunch of stuff. BoJack Horseman, I heard that was pretty good.
I've been seeing a lot about that actually lately on Facebook, seeing all these people talking about it, and then
I think Danger 5 is Netflix too.
Okay,
it's like an Australian type of show, and it's kind of like Star Trek.
Okay,
like old Star Trek, like those old TV shows.
Is it serious or is it campy? Is it like Galaxy? So it's like Galaxy Quest, sort of like a parody, a little bit.
Yeah, but they don't treat it like it's a parody, almost. But
those are the best. Those are the best campy productions, isn't it? They treat it dead serious, but you're like, what the hell?
They had like zombie. Not zombies. They had dinosaur Nazis or something like that.
Oh, nice! I still have to watch Dead Snow and the second one. Yeah. Which is the zombie Nazis. Yeah,
there's dinosaur Nazis, and they had like guns on their back and everything, and they were like, So that's one of the things.
Maybe
it's kind of like that YouTube thing.
I wonder if I think it's David Sandberg, the Kung Fury guy. I wonder if he can get Netflix to put money for that. Be like, hey,
I don't know. Well, Netflix, Danger 5 is pretty close.
A feature or a web series on Netflix or something. You could totally do this like 10 to 15 minutes.
What is it like? I think they're in their third season now.
Oh wow!
So the seasons aren't long. They're only like 10 episodes a season. But
overseas, like in the UK, most of their shows are like 10, 13 episode batches, and then sometimes only you have a couple of them, and then that's it. They just end it. They don't do this whole 10 seasons, 20-something episodes each to the point where you're like, just stop being on, just go off the air already. Nobody wants to watch you, you know?
I was reading something and saying like how, they were saying how popular Netflix is overseas too.
Oh, I bet.
Like in China or Japan or something like that. They said it's huge over there.
Wow.
And so... they're saying like, the person was saying that, they say normally foreign people don't like American humor and everything, but they're really going overseas.
I wonder what that's about. It's probably not China because they have a lot of they're still communist, so they have a lot of censorship.
Yeah, I think it was
issues.
Japan.
It probably is Japan.
I think it was Japan.
Interesting.
But
okay, huh?
Yeah, maybe it's because they're shorter seasons or something. Or...
Yeah, well, I'm a big proponent of the 10, 13 episode seasons because then, like, for example, with Daredevil, every episode is essential. There's no filler, and they always leave you wanting more, and everything is much more tight and compact. I mean, that series, every episode, something huge and impactful that totally changed the direction of the story was happening.
Yeah.
Not like a lot of, network shows where you're just like, okay, that I could have skipped this one and nothing really substantive happened except for, it's like 30 seconds at the very end of the episode. It's like, by the way, here's a plot point that actually matters. You're like, well, you could have squeezed that into somewhere else. You didn't need a whole episode of production value.
Yeah, a lot of it's like going to high school. It's
right,
like,
and
it's just filler.
Yeah,
you get all this work that's
busy work,
and then you go to college, which Netflix is like the college of television shows, and the fact that they don't they just give you, this is what you need to know, they lay it all on the table for you, and then you do with it what you will.
Right.
But then like network TV shows are like the high school.
Well, and that's why a lot of times I don't watch a lot of shows. That's why until almost the end of the season, I didn't really get into Gotham. Because I'm like, okay, it's just going to be 20-something episodes of that dragging out forever. And we're not even going to see Batman, so it's like, you're just showing me lesser versions of all the characters that I already love from other things. Why wouldn't I just go watch those other things again?
Yeah, well, yeah. They're not all bad. Like, Walking Dead, with Walking Dead, it's not like, something has to happen... that's it'll be like some sort of conclusion at the end of the episode. It might be maybe a conclusion within the character if they do flashbacks or something.
Well, I've lost it a lot of that type of thing.
But it won't do like this storyline has to end because it never ends, of course.
Well,
the whole show is one big storyline
until it gets canceled. Then we're like, all right, shit, we got to end it now.
But I was talking with a friend that reads the comic books, and he said they only went up to like 70, like comic book number 70. They're like in the 70 right now, and they're way into like the 120s, 130s.
Well, he
said they could do another 4 or 5 seasons probably off of the material that they have left.
And I'm sure that they're planning on doing that exact thing.
Yeah.
Well, plus they have the spin-off that's starting fall, I think. Fear the Walking Dead, which, by the way, if you want to do a spin-off of Walking Dead, that's fine and whatever. I get it. It's a hit show, but can you give it a better title? Just throw Fear in the front. Fuck it. It's the same thing. I didn't
like when I heard about the spin-off because I feel like it would take a lot of the originality of The Walking Dead.
I don't even 100%. I don't watch the original show, so I'm not even 100% sure what the premise is of the new one and how they're planning on differentiating it from the parent show. But I mean, I'm sure it'll get a lot of
there's a certain bit of artistry and to The Walking Dead. Like it just flows nicely sometimes, and the cinematography is genius, and the makeup is incredible, and I feel like when you add another spin-off into the mix, it's gonna dilute it a little bit more, or it's gonna make The Walking Dead not seem as special. It's bad enough that there's like shows like iZombie and stuff that want to be like The Walking Dead.
Well, iZombie's it's a zombie theme, but it's basically theme. Like Veronica Mars with a zombie, because the same guy that did Veronica Mars.
It's the same storyline as Warm Bodies, but they're taking it into a serialized version.
Well, with a police drama like spin on it. So I mean, I guess it's also based on a comic book actually too.
Yeah, I just feel like adding more spin-offs is just going to make Walking Dead less special.
Yeah.
And then it's not going to last as long, or because they're not going to have as many good ideas for The Walking Dead.
Or
and they're going to like, okay, this is a really good idea. Since this show's not doing that good, let's throw it into that show. Because
crossover episodes and shit.
Because every once in a while, they'll have like a zombie that looks ingenious, just like the design of the zombie looks incredible, and I feel like you won't get that as much because it'll be too shadowed by the other one.
Maybe
we'll see. They'll share the shadow, but it won't, they won't have as big of a shadow.
It won't be as unique, and that there's greater risk of AMC essentially saturating the market and getting to that point where television viewers are like, all right, no more zombies. Enough of this shit. I'm tired of all of it.
Yeah.
And then Walking Dead starts to...
I mean, because because at the point, The Walking Dead, is like, as far as zombie shows go, The Walking Dead is still a monopoly.
Well, I mean,
it's still a monopoly because all the other zombie shows out there, they're not really.
Well, how many zombie shows are there? There's iZombie
like,
and there's Walking Dead. What else is there?
There's like Z Nation, I think I saw.
Oh, that's on Netflix too, isn't it?
Yeah. There's like 2 or 3 other ones, but the Walking Dead is still like in a monopoly in this sort because it's like the other ones don't really care as much. Not that many people watch them, but by adding your own competition, it will make your product not seem
It's like if McDonald's has like McDonald's Jr., which sells basically the same stuff but a little different right across the street. It's like, well, where are people going to go? One of them's going to suffer.
Yeah, half of your intel is going to go over here. Half of them, you're not going to get more audience by creating,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a terrible move on their part. So,
although by the same token, and this is actually a good bridge from The Walking Dead because your boy from The Walking Dead is now going to join season 2 of Daredevil as the Punisher. Which, by the way, what do you think of that casting?
I think he on The Walking Dead, he showed that he had he could do dramatic roles and he could play off things and be the tough guy.
Right.
And he's a really good actor. So
he looks the part too. He really does. Like I could totally see that.
I think that he'd be a good choice for the Punisher.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
Was it David?
John Barenthal.
Oh, I wasn't even close.
You know you weren't at all. You're like David. No, that's not it. No, so John Barenthal is going to be joining. Obviously, everybody knows by now. He's going to be joining Daredevil season 2 as the Punisher. So my point in bringing that up is, you're worried about zombie shows sort of being saturated in the market. However, superhero shows doing just fine. We've got Arrow, Flash.
But they're all different
Gotham,
kinds of stories. So.
I guess. Supergirl, and then now Daredevil, plus the other Marvel stuff on Netflix, plus Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, and then we're getting Legends of Tomorrow, which is the
They're all
Flash
different,
and Arrow
but they all have their own set. I mean, these are all...
Constantine. Constantine did not do well.
These are all superheroes that stories have been written through decades.
Well, yeah.
Right. And this
material.
Walking Dead stuff, there's only one comic book that's been produced over, 2 or 3 decades, maybe?
I don't even know. Yeah, I mean...
Like 2 decades, probably.
Probably, I would say at least the 90s.
Yeah. So, each one has several decades on their side worth of material with their own enemies, with their own set of superpowers and skills and personalities that have been set through... I mean, the creators and the writers have already done the hard work, or at least the outline for the writers that are already going to be put into place now.
Now you just have to take those story elements and bring them to screen without making them suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially.
So, I mean, when you have The Flash, you have... I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't know if that's from a comic book or anything, but...
There are comic book lines that are more focused on S.H.I.E.L.D. itself, but now it's going into Inhumans territory, and season 3 is going to be a lot like Secret Warriors and them trying to compile all these enhanced people and get them working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and that kind of thing. So, I mean, there are comic book storylines that they're drawing inspiration from, for sure.
Yeah. But I think with Jessica Jones coming up, and, the Power Man coming up, Luke Cage, and...
we haven't heard much on Iron Fist yet. I think rumor is that they're having difficulty
because that's the last
nailing down
one,
Yeah, but rumor is that they're having difficulty nailing down an approach to that. So, because I think that's probably the most mystical and, supernatural of all of them,
It also requires... It would also require some sort of CGI to it.
Right.
It's not so much stunt work. Well, there is stunt work, but a lot of it's, his fists eventually are supposed to glow.
Okay.
When he
but you
uses
can
his
do that
iron fist.
easily on a TV budget.
Yeah, on a TV budget, but you saw Daredevil, they barely even used CGI. They might have used it once
for some of
twice.
For a few shots here and there.
It might have even been
but
camera tricks that it might not even been CGI.
Oh my god, I just want to watch that hallway sequence again now that you were talking about Daredevil.
So, and a lot of it would be the same thing like they did with Daredevil with the like the trick moves and everything,
right?
With the Iron Fist, but since it is mystical, but it might be a little harder to handle since it's not as much like Thor, but it's kind of like
closer to
strange territory. Yeah.
Well, the way I see it, I think Avengers: Infinity War hits like what 2018.
Yeah, well,
that sounds about right.
They have plenty of
time
because
you know that they're at least I would like to think that their plan is to put everybody from everything and put all of them in Infinity War, either part 1 or part 2. So even if they're in it not very much, if I don't see Daredevil, well, I would want to see Daredevil in Civil War. But if he's not in that, if he's not at least in Infinity War somewhere, I'm gonna be kind of pissed because I'm like, dude, you can't be like Marvel can't go around being all about how it's all connected, and that's their promos for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are all about it's all connected. You can't do that and then have Thanos kind of threatening to destroy the whole universe, essentially, and not have everybody being a part of it in some way or shape or form. Yeah. So, I mean, I hope to think that that's their ultimate plan, is for everything to come together.
Even if they have him, like, as far as Civil War goes, even if they had Daredevil in like the background or something,
or like watching something on
like
TV of Tony Stark, anything,
watching a scene,
so we can be like, oh my god, it is connected.
Yeah, it could be like some connection, and the guy that plays Daredevil,
Charlie Cox.
Yeah, he has no problem playing. I read something.
He loves this character.
He loves the character. He said he'll play him till he's like 90 or until they'll let me play him.
I don't think he could do the
He's
fight
gonna be like
90,
he's like Hugh Jackman. He'll play him for as long as he wants, as long as they'll let you play.
Right.
And that's the kind of actor you want.
Exactly.
Well, that's like a Robert Downey Jr.
That's like Robert Downey Jr. He just like, you could tell when he goes in front of like crowds at conventions and shit, he just gets off on that attention. They're all like, "We love you, Robert." And he's like, "Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do." That kind of thing. That's why Edward Norton was replaced with Mark Ruffalo. Edward Norton's not a team player. He wants to do things the way he wants to do things. Mark Ruffalo's like, dude, just give me the script. I'll show up. I'll do the best I can. And, it's all for the fans, that kind of thing. That's the spirit you need for something like this, for these multi-film contracts. Yeah. But we're kind of going off on a Marvel tangent we're not even at the Ant-Man review yet. We'll get to that.
Well, should we do the Ant-Man review first? Since
we're
on Marvel,
since we're already on it?
Should we go to Terminator?
Well, I was going to do some more catch-up stuff and then have Ant-Man sort of be our main event. It is technically the most relevant. We're recording this before, like, Pixels or Southpaw, any of those other movies come out that weekend, or this coming weekend. So, we'll save Ant-Man for the main event. So,
okay.
So that's what we've been watching TV-wise. I haven't really been watching any TV, so... I've just been watching lots of movies, and you could read reviews on a bunch of stuff on CookieTable.com. So movie-wise, what have you been watching?
Movie-wise, I've been watching some old stuff. I like the original Terminator. I realized I hadn't seen it.
I watched it recently too. Never seen it ever?
I realized I never seen it.
Oh, wow.
I realized that the Terminator 2 was the one that I first watched, which is a good one to start, of course.
Well, it's the best one, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the best one. But I watched Terminator 2 because I realized, Terminator Genisys is coming up. Let me watch it. Which I'm glad I did watch it because it tied into it a lot.
Did you watch? Wait, you watched the first one before you saw Genisys?
I watched the first one before I saw Genisys.
Good. So was it on? It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay,
that's why I was able to see it.
Okay,
I watched. I was gonna watch The Running Man with Arnold too.
I watched that recently. I actually tweeted about it like a couple months ago. I haven't never seen it.
Yeah.
And I've seen most of his like big, Predator and Commando and all that stuff. But Running Man is like the most obvious like blind spot on my Schwarzenegger, filmography that I haven't seen. Yeah. So I finally saw it on Netflix, just like you, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna fucking watch that. And it was actually pretty good. It's not his best, but I could see why a lot of people like it.
Yeah,
it's got a fun idea
to it. Twins. I saw. Yeah, a lot of
you and I have been watching a lot of the same movies totally independently. Holy shit!
I've been watching a lot of older movies.
Yeah.
I saw Jurassic World, of course. I saw Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Terminator. I'm gonna go see Minions. I saw Inside Out.
Right. Yeah, we differed on Inside Out. You weren't all about it. I really loved it. So you were like,
yeah. It's just I thought it would be a good children's book idea.
Right.
but
didn't sustain.
It didn't entertain. It didn't.
I will give you this.
Well as I thought.
I will give you this. I really like Inside Out because I'm all about Pixar. Aside from the Cars movies, I'm not as big a fan of those. Okay, I'm not a fan of those. But Inside Out, even though as much as I love it, that Act 2 does sort of like drag for a little bit, where they're just like walking around like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. I'm like, okay, what does this have to do with anything?
It was good in like the first 10 minutes.
Really, and that's it? And then you're like, I'm bored now.
Yeah, then once, like, was the person, the sadness? She started like,
she touches stuff.
I just have a need to touch everything, and it's just like, I was like, shut up, sad. And then they go and they get sucked into the thing, and then they go to the island.
Hey, it sounds sexy. You're like she gets sucked into the thing. Like, yeah, she does. I know, it's a kids movie. Wait, sorry.
And I think it was Inside Out. They showed theater showed
Insidious Chapter 3 instead.
Chapter 3.
Did you see that? Because I missed it.
I thought it was the trailer, not the movie. No, it was the trailer.
Is it?
And it terrified
people. Little kids were fucked up.
Yeah, it wouldn't show the movie because the movie hasn't even.
That's happened before, where like it starts running and people don't realize until everybody goes.
No, it was the trailer because Insidious hasn't even come out yet.
Oh, okay.
It was the trailer. And it terrified all the kids in the theater.
Did you see it? I didn't see it in theaters, the movie, Insidious Chapter 3. It
hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, it did. It came out beginning of January? Or beginning of June,
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I did.
Sinister? Or was it Insidious or Sinister? Sinister is not.
No, it wasn't Insidious. Maybe it was the movie Insidious.
Okay.
Because... Yeah,
I think
I'm confusing. I'm confusing Paranormal Activity.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, the next
Paranormal Activity is coming up.
What is it? The Ghost Dimension or some shit like
Ghost
that.
Dimension,
the next
yes.
one. They're supposed to be
Which
the last
looks really
one.
good.
It's supposed to be I haven't seen the trailer. It's supposed to be the last one now.
See it because it's a really good.
I've only seen the first two. I worry that I'm not going to know what's going on.
No, you'll know what's going on.
Well, because they're trying to develop the mythology a little bit in the last couple.
Well, they've done a terrible job.
Well, that's sort of what I've gleaned from what I've read about it.
They've hinted at like a demon and a covenant and all this stuff, but really, it hasn't really showed that much. There's like, which one did you stop at? 3?
I saw 1 and 2, and you told me
I should see the one with the bloody. The third one you should see.
Yeah, you told me the third one was good.
The 2 girls.
That's the flashback one with Katie and whatever her name is.
And then they do the Bloody Mary and the mirror and everything. Yeah, and that goes into they showed that in the Ghost Dimension movie a little bit.
Okay.
And then there's a little bit about demons and covenant that they kind of go to. But you have to see the trailer after this. You should see it. It's like 2-3 minutes long. But it looks scary and it looks it looks better than the first one, to be honest.
Wow. I thought the first one was good, but I don't think it was good enough to be like, this is the best movie, more of these. I'm like, why?
It's not...
They're okay.
It's not Insidious level. It's not Nightmare on Elm Street level.
So since you got Insidious confused with Paranormal Activity, did you see Insidious Chapter 3?
Yeah, I did. I just forgot.
Did you like it, or was it like whatever?
I liked it.
You didn't like it? It was a step down for you, it sounds like?
No. I thought it was pretty good. The reason I didn't... it was so long ago that I saw it.
Right. You probably saw it opening weekend.
I was
going, and something else. I had something else going on, so I didn't.
I didn't have the kid and the parents in it.
Yeah.
So
it's a new. Well, it takes.
So I took it away from it, even though I had the old lady in it still.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it right away.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I liked it a lot, and I liked how they pieced it together.
I want to see it, and it's on my list of things to check out at some point. But at this point, it'll probably be Redbox or Netflix or something.
Probably.
Because my issue with that is that I was so invested in the story that was happening in those first 2 with that family, and I really like Patrick Wilson, and I really like Rose Byrne, and that whole storyline. And I sort of don't really want to watch a prequel to that story. I'd rather see that continue on. And the fact that it's Chapter 3. But it really should be Chapter 0 pisses me off. That's not... You're misrepresenting the film.
Yeah. It explains a lot, though, about some of the stuff that happens in the first movie and the second movie.
All right. I mean,
mainly the first movie with the older lady and everything.
It shows why she knows so much about the further and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It explains a little bit about that. and about and it shows a little bit about the woman you saw the second one, right?
Yeah, I have
the man that has that wears the dress and everything.
Spoilers.
Well, it's,
spoilers for Insidious Chapter 2.
And
the bride that was the bride in black, right? That character, yeah.
So I mean, they
great
have
villains in those movies.
So they go on that a little
bit.
Okay. I think you'll like it. I think you'll still like it, just because it intertwines with it so well.
Okay. I mean, I'm curious to see it. There's a lot of stuff going on in the summer. I was like, I'll get to it when I get to it, and then other stuff like, this week, oh shit, and it sort of slipped down my list.
So what'd you give Inside Out?
You're gonna disagree with me a lot.
Whoa.
I gave it 4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5. I give it 3.
Okay. Well,
I feel like 3 is generous. But I give it a 3 only because of the concept.
Okay.
But not because of the way it was carried out.
All right, not the idea is not the execution, essentially.
Execution, that's the word.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I actually thought it was their best one since Toy Story 3. Because I was like, Cars 2, I watched like half of it. I was like, okay, this is shitty. And then Monsters University and Brave was good, but not amazing for me. But yeah. So actually, okay, so you would have given that 3. I actually gave 3 to Terminator Genisys. So transition right there.
You didn't like Terminator that much? What did you not like about Terminator?
Spoilers for Terminator Genisys. I really liked the first half or so until that big plot twist. That, by the way, I don't know if you saw the trailers. They totally gave away that whole big plot twist.
Yeah.
With John Connor. And I'm like, so I was basically watching the movie waiting for that to happen. It wasn't a surprise to me at all.
But you don't know exactly. You didn't know he was a robot.
Yeah, I did. It's in the trailer.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They ruined the whole movie, first of all. And then secondly, they never explain exactly how that happened, why that happened. It never makes sense to me. So that whole John Connor thing, for me, none of that works.
This is all future technology, so how can it make sense to you? Yeah, I know, but why would he do...
No, I know, but I'm talking from a character standpoint. It's like, how did we get from John Connor sending Kyle Reese back in time to save his mother to John Connor, we need to survive. It's what you taught me. I'm like, whoa. No, that you can't just jump from there to there. You need to give me some more explanation as to how that total 180 happened from the hero of the human race to now is like, we're fucked, let's just go along with it. I'm like, okay. No, that's not how that works.
Well, because everyone pictured him as this figure, this god.
Right.
And Reese asked him, he's like, well, what are you going to do after? And he's like, I really don't know what to do. A beer will be good. And he said, that's a good start. He doesn't know what to do after the war is ended. Meaning...
Well, then maybe they should have elaborated on that more in the movie.
Why, they have to point everything out for you?
Yeah, and that's not that. It's just like, we're speculating on a story that they never told, basically.
Well, it's a complicated story.
It's not that smart a movie to be able to be like, they'll get this. It's not like Inception. I mean,
well, they added the scene that he's like, I don't know what to do.
Well, now that you say that, there is something there, but they didn't develop it enough then, I guess is my point.
I guess.
And then the other thing
with terrible at reading context clues.
No. and then the other thing with Skynet basically being like embodied by Matt Smith from Doctor Who there. The guy that's like the creepy guy that was like the bad guy by the end. There's too many villains, first of all, in it. And none of them is really developed or explained at all.
3 bad guys.
There was the T-1000, which was cool, but he was
3
sort of...
bad guys.
Huh?
3 bad guys.
Yeah, 3 bad guys, none of which makes sense to me. The Matt Smith stuff with Skynet being a human being form or whatever that was, crap. John Connor, that whole twist with him. What was
the first one?
The Matt Smith, that thing, crap. The John Connor twist with him being a robot, I guess, didn't make any sense to me. And then the T-1000 was underused. So all the villain stuff, didn't like any of it. Jai Courtney, the guy that plays Kyle Reese, really can't act. And really miscast as Kyle Reese, does not look or resemble or call to mind anything related to Michael Biehn from the first film.
Yeah.
So that was a bad casting choice. I thought Emilia Clarke was really good as Sarah Connor, actually.
Yeah.
I thought she totally nailed it, and I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I'm not super familiar with her on that, but I've watched clips of it, and I know that she doesn't look or sound like that at all, and they really made her look like Sarah Connor. And like when she shows up and she shoots the T-1000 and she's like, come with me if you want to live, and she's like, now soldier, I was like, oh my god, that sounds like Sarah Connor. That's exactly how she would say that, and that's her thing. You know, she uses that, like the term, that soldier and that kind of thing. It's like, it's Sarah Connor's personality pretty much intact from those other movies. And I say in the review, I mean, she doesn't exactly take that character and make it her own. She's sort of there to be, in a way, sort of an impersonation of Linda Hamilton's version of it. But she does enough with it that I buy it. I know I've read some reviews where they said that both of them are like not missing the mark, but I sort of disagree. I think Emilia Clarke was fine in it. The whole Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Arnold Schwarzenegger scene was awesome. The way they tied in the mythology and seeing, you know, the story behind when Kyle Reese was sent back to 1984 and all that time travel stuff, that was all really good. The movie was going really strong for me from the beginning all the way until the John Connor reveal in 2017, and then I started to lose interest and it went downhill. Even though there was still some good stuff there, considering that this robot version of their son has gone in time, back in time or forward in time or sideways in time, who knows anymore, to kill essentially his parents before he's born. It's really interesting and complicated, and that dynamic was fun to play with. But I don't think, like you were saying about Inside Out, I don't think they executed the ideas that they were going for as much. And I think they try and throw way too much in the film, and it sort of doesn't really hang together.
Well, that was the whole point of the film, was that they're time hopping. That's
right, and it was smart for them to be like, oh, we're gonna go to 1984, but then we're taking it back to essentially the present day.
If you're looking for a clean cut, cookie cutter template of a script,
I'm not looking for that.
This is the protagonist, and this is the antagonist.
Not looking for that.
And this is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
I just want a story that actually makes sense.
We would say that the antagonist would be Skynet. Because the whole thing, there's a T-1000, but the T-1000 is like a soldier.
That's the most minimal issue of the villain issues I have. It's more with John Connor and the Skynet thing.
Which the Skynet, I guess, would be that guy who sits from Doctor Who. That's
he was one of the
Genisys guy. Whatever. Yeah. Which he went back in time and created.
I get
John
that.
Connor
with alternate timelines and all this other shit.
Or put the robot inside.
I guess.
Him to begin with.
Okay.
So he's like the next, there's the T-1000, then there's the next form of robot, which is like nanotechnology sort of deal. Yeah. What was cool about I will give the effects were cool in it, and like I said, all the character stuff was awesome. The way they trapped the T-1000 in that scene where Arnold's holding him under the acid and his arms melted, that was all, like I said, that was first half, all good stuff. When John Connor got shot and Arnold pops, I guess, shows up and shoots him, and it's like blood on the floor, and then the blood is like flashes, and the nanobots or whatever that shit is sort of like reconstitutes itself. That was cool. So the visuals were cool. It's just the story needed a little work the second half for me. What was your beef with it? I didn't even see your beef. I just destroyed your beef.
It didn't make sense at all. I wouldn't. Plus, it doesn't. I don't know. It didn't feel right to me emotionally. Like, it didn't resonate. Like, I'm like, this doesn't add up. I'm watching it with a suspicious eye the whole second half. Like, yeah, but wait, why? Well, I don't understand what's happening here. And not because I'm waiting for a cookie cutter script. Just I want one that is actually not shitty, I guess, is what I'm asking for. And not that the whole thing's shitty. Like I said, the first half, they were like on to something. I was like, yeah, let's go with it. This is cool. He's like, old young Arnold showing up being like, I want your clothes and your motorcycle. And then the old one being like, you don't need any clothes. I've been waiting for you. That was all epic. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's still probably the best Terminator movie, at least since... It might be. I might give it a slight edge over Terminator 3, because I feel like Terminator 3 is a decent, not spectacular, but a decent end to that trilogy. But I mean, it's definitely better than Salvation. Salvation was shit. That was like unwatchable, basically.
Yeah.
So.
You think it's better than Terminator?
No. I think 2 is still the best. I think 1 is probably second, and then this is like a distant third, personally.
I'd put this at second.
Oh, they disagree.
I would.
One is classic.
Just because I couldn't find any plot holes in it. I thought
Well,
I
we
thought
disagree, sir.
I thought as far as the timelines and the way everything was placed out on the table, that there were no plot holes that I could see in the placement of the original Terminator,
right?
In the placement of everything that was happening.
So if John goes back and kills his parents, is he still going to be born? I guess because I'm like legitimately asking. I'm not even being like a dick about it.
Well, but they haven't consummated yet, so
right.
They haven't had sex. So if you get them before, as long as you get them before you have sex.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
That's why he asked.
He's not going to be born.
That's why he asked, "Have you had sex yet?" Or
whatever he said is like, "Oh, did you tell him?" or something like that, or whatever he said. Yeah.
I mean, he's basically saying like, "Did you do it? Am I going to be in there yet?" or whatever. Right. I mean, it wouldn't even matter because it would take 9 months anyways.
Right. Right.
But as long as he goes back before the baby's been born, he's won.
Right. Yeah, but so he needs to go back and prevent himself from being born. And you see what I'm saying?
But he prevented himself from being born, but that doesn't mean that his timeline stops.
Right. Okay. So because he's in league with the dude who has time hopping abilities.
If he stops himself from being born, then he creates an alternate universe in which he is born, but in the universe, but he stops his own universe from happening. I guess you would say. So, you get what I'm saying?
Sort of. It's all murky. I mean, the thing is, with time travel, you can basically tear apart any of them. Back to the Future, because you end up in a like, but if they go back to change time, wouldn't they never have to go back to change time because it would have been changed? You know what I mean? You end up in that whole thing.
I think it would just become an alternate universe in the fact that there would be a universe where he was never born and one where he was, but he would still exist because that previous universe still exists.
I guess. All right, whatever. I don't know.
So,
well, I'm sorry to break it to you that Terminator...
Because in every decision you have, you're like, I can decide to go out today and kill somebody, for instance, and go to jail...
Please don't do that. We're not endorsing murder on this Pretty Table podcast.
That's an extreme example, but I have a choice to go out and shoot somebody and go to jail and get the electric chair or lethal injection or whatever. And I have that choice. And then I have an alternate timeline where I don't do that and I just carry on with the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So there's
Aldous Snow style.
So there's an alternate universe.
I was going to do that, but I just went and lived the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly. There's an alternate universe where you said yes, and there's an alternate universe where you might have said no.
Right.
And there's the one that you do pick, but then if you went back and you chose that decision, you made yourself say no, then it veers off into a different path.
It's like a railroad where, depending which way the lever is, you're going to go to left or right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I guess.
I guess if in killing them, he would create the fork to go.
So it is sort of like Back to the Future style, where he's like, when we went back to 1985, old Biff got the book, and it created the timeline converged, creating an alternate 1985 or whatever. That whole
exactly.
Thing. Okay.
Yeah. Because it was still going to happen, but he created something different, so he created an alternate timeline. But I don't know. If you're going by the first Back to the Future, it wouldn't be the case because he starts to disappear at the end.
I mean, at a certain point, you have to sort of take the approach of like Bruce Willis and Looper, where he's like, "Kid, it's just really complicated. Let's go past it." You remember that part where he's like, "Well, how does this work?" He's like, "Just let's not even talk about it." Which is like the writer being like, "Get off my back. It's all make believe. Fuck off."
We're doing this at a 5-star, so
yeah.
I'd give it a 4.
All right. So we have a little bit of opposite opinions on Inside Out and Terminator.
I would do 4.5.
I mean, I liked it, but don't get me wrong, I liked it, and because I'm biased to the franchise, I will probably still get it on DVD or Blu-ray when it's like cheaper and stuff. But only because I like the franchise. If this was the first movie in the franchise, I'd be like, "The fuck is this?"
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, there's a lot of good stuff in there though. So if you're a hardcore Terminator fan, I would still recommend it to people, but. Unfortunately, it's not turning in the box office numbers that they were hoping for. So sequels, and then they had plans for like a TV show that would have tied in, all kind of like up in the air right now. So I don't know if any of that's gonna happen, but we'll see. So anyway,
so do you want to go to Ant-Man now, or
were there any other movies? You didn't see Trainwrecks. There's no point in talking about that. But I liked it a lot. You can find my review on Crooked Table Podcast or crookedtable.com. What? Do I want to talk about it? Yeah, you could read. They could read it. Yeah, let's just. Do you want to do maybe some Superman, Batman, some DC stuff before we jump into our Marvel depth?
Well, we could talk about the trailer. You wanted to talk about
Batman, Superman, and Suicide Squad trailer and stuff. Yeah, those two. Because those are the ones officially released.
You can start on it then.
Oh, okay. So at Comic-Con, as everybody knows, the Batman versus Superman, or excuse me, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and the Suicide Squad trailers were released. And then shortly after, Warner Brothers was sort of reportedly, upset about the fact that the Suicide Squad trailer leaked, and they were like, I guess we have to release it online. Darn. But I get a little sense that Warner Brothers was just like, it was all probably a publicity stunt to build buzz for it, and it worked because Suicide Squad, which mostly features characters that casual moviegoers are like, who the fuck is Deadshot? Who the fuck is Killer Croc, Enchantress, and people like that, has more views on YouTube than the Batman v Superman trailer, which I'm like, wow, even I didn't see that coming.
Well, I think it's just because because the Joker that was depicted in The Dark Knight was so great, so they wanted to see the Jared Leto
and how it would compare.
Yeah, and how it would compare to this new Joker. Plus, there was a huge picture that came out with him with his hands on his forehead.
Oh,
You've
yeah,
seen that picture.
Oh my God, everybody's seen that picture.
He looked insane.
The internet exploded when that came out.
Yeah, exactly. With that
they were like,
picture.
The fuck? Capped teeth and tattoos and damaged on his forehead.
It was a very extreme version of the Joker. The extreme depiction of the Joker.
It looked pretty much like that.
And it looks like the one that we're getting, yeah.
Because there were some people being like, maybe that's not the way he's going to look in the movie, and that's just a promotional thing. I'm like, no, that's the way he's going to look in the movie. It
looks, I like that.
I think in a picture, it looks kind of ridiculous, and you're like, the fuck are they doing? A lot of people were like, what is this, Marilyn Manson playing the Joker? So in the picture form, it looks ridiculous a little bit. However, in the context of the movie, it looks kind of badass and really creepy. And the way they do that, like, POV shot where he's, like, really, really bad. You're like, whoa, the fuck? This looks creepy.
Well, the comic book version of the Joker is more, I guess you would say, if you want to call that a Marilyn Manson version, I would call it, it's kind of like that.
Right.
Because he kills Robin. He rapes
I'll
Batgirl at one point, and
this must be some of Frank Miller's stuff. It sounds like Frank Miller.
I think he rapes Batgirl and then he kills her really or something like that, or I think he just
paralyzes her. He paralyzes Batgirl. I think.
Okay,
she's in a wheelchair at one point. Have you read
this?
Killing?
Is like darker, extreme stuff that Joker does. I think that's what, since the tone of the DC movies are starting to go into more of like a dark direction.
Yeah.
Than the tone of the Marvel movies, which I think that's why they're trying to do to differentiate themselves, make their superheroes more hardcore and the villains more hardcore,
right?
And do extremes about everything.
All right, so I guess we're gonna hit
because they have extreme superheroes, they want to have extreme villains. So having the crazy Joker,
right? I guess we're gonna hit Suicide Squad first since we sort of went into that.
Yeah,
but have you read The Killing Joke? The comic by Alan Moore.
I know kind of what it's about. Yeah,
it's that's the image where he's like hands on his head and it says ha 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 in the background from the comic book. That was so Leto was basically reenacting that pose, but that comic book they take a lot of inspiration for that, so you should check that out. But also, what did you think about Jared Leto's Joker? First off, since that's the most prominent, the most talked about element of the trailer.
Well, they only had one little part with him.
Well, I mean, based on what they saved him for the money shot at the end.
Yeah.
You don't open with the Joker, especially he's not going to be. He's not expected to be in it like throughout. I feel like we're gonna get like very like 10 minutes or less of him in the actual movie. Probably.
Let me just stop you right there.
Why?
You reminded me of the interview. You're like, you don't just do
oh my God,
with the money shot.
Oh my God, that's
you put it at the end.
I do.
Oh, close up, all over their face.
Oh my God. Oh, I want to watch that again now.
Yeah, you remember me in the interview. You don't just stop it right before the money shot. You do it all over the close up, both sides, all over their face. And then, all right. That's what you reminded me of.
Sidebar.
With the money shot with the Joker.
I have mixed feelings on the interview as a movie, But James Franco was fucking awesome in that movie. He makes that whole movie work.
Yeah.
That movie is like some of it works, some of it doesn't. But oh my god, I want more. Was it Dave Skylark, right?
Yeah.
I want more Dave Skylark. Just like I just want him to randomly show up in movies and be like, "So Iron Man, why are you and Captain America in the Civil War?" Like lean in. Like I just want him to randomly show up places because that was a great character.
Well,
but we
I think that's one of those movies that I can watch anytime. It's
really.
I think it's a classic movie. Like it's a classic comedic movie.
That's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim. I would put it with 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh wow! I see now. I don't. Agree with that all,
with 40-Year-Old Virgin, you could watch that as many times as you want. Whenever it's a guilty pleasure, but it's
not
awesome.
A guilty pleasure.
It's
guilty pleasure.
No, guilty pleasure is one of those movies you can watch anytime.
Nah, I don't. Guilty pleasure to me is a movie you're like, this kind of sucks, but I love it.
Oh, okay.
That's to me like for me, Million Ways to Die in the West is a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like,
I was gonna say
I would not if you tell me like you have that.
Well,
you're like,
I was
sucks,
gonna add at the
that's...
end, it's a great comedic movie, but I guess that's kind of like an oxymoron saying that it's a guilty pleasure,
right?
But it's a great script and
so
has a great comedic performance.
Do you feel like it's legitimately amazing movie, or do you feel like it's?
I think it is
not
necessarily.
Well, no. Do you feel like it? You feel like it's legitimately amazing and not just like it's okay, but I love it anyway.
I think it's really really funny.
Okay.
It has a lot of different, but same.
But the same.
Different.
Oh, yeah. But again, you're quoting the James Franco character. He makes the film, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. A lot of the
quotable because they ain't us.
A lot of the quotable stuff is from James Franco character, and then the part with the honey potting.
Oh my god.
The honey potting. And
honey dick.
And then the honey dick, and he's like, "That's what I was doing the whole time." I mean, that's Seth Rogen with the honey pot.
Yeah, it is. Okay, back to Suicide Squad. But yes, you love the interview.
Yeah.
Which is also a review for Uncrooked. I don't know. I don't beat people over the head with it, but there's reviews to read, so check it out.
I don't know if they'll hear you with saying that. Okay, the Suicide Squad, it was kind of a mess for me.
You didn't like it? Really?
I couldn't get enough information.
No wonder you didn't show it to our parents. You were just like, they don't need to see that.
It was there wasn't enough information for me to see.
Well, it's a teaser. It's just like
I guess
we're the patsies.
I guess it was because it was a teaser. The Superman,
some kind of Suicide
Squad versus Batman,
nudge.
The Batman versus Superman one.
Oh well, talk about money shot. That was 4 minutes of money shot. That
wasn't a teaser, so that one came off as like a huge hit. Because you see Lex Luthor, and he has
they had a teaser for that already, didn't they?
And
yeah, they had a teaser for that.
Yeah, no, but I'm just showing all the elements together. They show Wonder Woman fighting Superman. They show the Batman with his suit, and they look like they're about to fight.
Did you see you haven't seen it on YouTube? They have a few versions actually where people edited together the battle between Superman and Zod in Metropolis, edited that with the footage from the trailer with Bruce Wayne reacting. So I last night I was watching the part where they were fighting in the building, and Superman and Zod, and Zod does the heat vision and breaks the building. Have you seen that? They cut it together.
Well, yeah, no, I didn't see that,
cool.
But I knew that when I saw that in the trailer, I knew immediately
that was that moment.
That it was that.
How many
moment.
times have you seen Man of Steel? I've only seen it a couple times. I guess I forgot. That
couple times. Moment. No, that's when he realizes he has the heat vision, and he's like why would he be going spastic with heat vision?
Yeah.
And the floor goes out from under him. I mean, that's an amazing sequence.
So Suicide Squad, you were sort of like, okay, we'll see what happens. It wasn't a miss, but you were sort of like, all right, I need more to really get excited about. I
didn't even get that excited about, to be honest, about the Joker at the end. It was okay, but it didn't give me those chills, ooh. This is gonna be good. I got from the one I got it actually from Lex Luthor. The red capes are coming.
My god, I love it. I tweeted that. The red capes
are coming.
After the trailer came out, it was so much awesome, blah 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 blah. Hashtag the red capes are coming. I was all about it. And apparently a lot of other people also used that hashtag.
Yeah,
it's funny that you say that, because I feel like a lot of people are more leaning towards the side of Jared Leto's Joker. Oh my god, this is gonna be cool. But Jesse Eisenberg with that weird hair. What the hell? Like he seems like he's coming from a different movie. I'm more or less
he's on their
board
shit list too.
Oh, because of what he said. Yeah.
About the genocide.
Yeah. In case you haven't heard this, he was. And I'm talking to the listener, not to you, obviously. In case you hadn't heard, Jesse Eisenberg, like a few days after Comic-Con, was like comparing it, like, oh, it's it's like nothing I ever experienced being at San Diego Comic-Con. It's if I could think of if anything, maybe it was like some kind of genocide or whatever. And I was just like, and I knew what he meant because. He seems, if you've ever heard him in interviews, he seems like he's really in it because he likes being an actor. He doesn't like the interview part of it. He doesn't like the promotion part of it. That's just he has something he has to probably force himself through. Like, he probably has a lot of, like, social anxiety. Well, so for him, going in front of Comic-Con, thousands of people being, like, screaming at him and shit, I could see him being like, this is, like, fucking traumatic thing. But at the same time, so obviously I knew he was exaggerating, but at the same time, as I was reading that, I was like, oh my god, dude, they're gonna tear you apart in the comments. And you might think a little more before you say this stuff.
Well, I mean, because he's practically insulting a culture.
Well, yeah, I know, I understand that, but I mean, I knew he didn't mean it that way, but it's like, it's also like, hey, I know, I guess they misunderstood what he said, like you misunderstood Terminator Genisys. I guess so. Jesse Eisenberg and I need to get our shit together. But I feel like more people are on board the Jared Leto Joker than the Jesse Eisenberg. Not even because of the comments. I'm saying just because he's like, red capes are coming, day versus night, man versus God versus man. Like, he was really like over the top. But I'm not quite as sold on him. I'm not quite as sold on him as I am with the Joker at the moment. Because I need to see him like full on Lex Luthor, not that shitty wig, and I want to see more of him.
I don't know if he's just like wig.
I think it's you think
he might have lost? He's gonna probably lose his hair later. Because I've seen a picture with him with
but he has. Yeah,
I think that might be toward the end of the movie.
You think something's gonna happen during the movie, like explosion and like Smallville style, like radiation or something?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, my hairpiece is coming.
It could be something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what, Aquaman's supposed to be in it too? The Flash is supposed to have
the interesting thing is I wonder how, clearly what they're doing, and this is smart, is piggybacking off of the controversy from Man of Steel. Everybody being like, he's supposed to save people, not knock down freaking cities and shit. So that's smart for them to be like, have the people in the movie be like, he's supposed to save people, not knocking down cities. That was smart. And using that to bring Batman in is really a really awesome way to go with it. I wonder where Wonder Woman's coming in. Like, does Batman know Wonder Woman? Are they tight? Well, because there's pictures of them like dressed like not in costume. Are they already communicating?
From what I believe, they've worked together before, and so she doesn't really know Superman. None of them know Superman. Yeah, so that's when she starts to fight Superman and everything. And
because they don't know if they can trust this guy.
I think Lex Luthor sends people to kill Batman wearing symbols of the Superman's symbol on their pads.
And
that's part of this.
Is this something you've read, or is this just your idea?
This is both. And then there's also speculation about him killing people too, because Batman doesn't really kill people. So they're thinking that he's gonna end up having to kill somebody with these people being under pressure. He's gonna kill one of the people wearing the Superman logo, right? Because this is what was shown in the trailer.
I think it's interesting how, and if it's not made apparent in Batman v Superman, which it sort of is, it's made apparent in Suicide Squad, because there's dialogue in there about when Amanda Waller is saying, I think Superman was some kind of lightning rod bringing all these crazy people out. Like, Superman's arrival is where all the villains and the heroes are like, okay, shit just got real, and sort of stepping up. Comparatively to the Avengers, how basically in that movie Nick Fury sort of points over at Thor. He's like, it's because of him. He showed up, and now everybody knows like there's a whole higher level of war. So it's like you have this extraterrestrial sort of being from another world comes to Earth, and then everything changes for everybody, which makes a lot of sense. So it's smart that they're using that as their entry point. So I guess I wonder if is it going to be like Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, all already there, and they're like, we got a missing spot. Come on, Soups. It's like, is that how it's going to be? I wonder. And I think having Lex Luthor as the man stirring up shit, being like, I'm going to pit this guy against this guy, which makes sense with his dialogue being like, day versus night, God versus man, sort of stirring up things between the two of them. Hoping that they'll kill each other.
The thing is that Superman, the whole reason Batman is mad at him is because he destroys Wayne Financial.
Right.
And hundreds of people die in the building.
Do you think that any of our characters that we know
and also
will
the thing with the soldiers attacking him wearing Superman symbols and everything.
Ooh, I wonder, do you think
pretty much all of it, it's not even Superman that's attacking him, or that all his fury is put toward. The part with the building is Zod.
That's true. Yeah, I know.
The part
that was smart. That they laid that in really well.
With the soldiers is Lex Luthor.
Right.
So it's not even Superman's fault.
Right.
So and then Superman tries to lash back at Batman because he fights him, and so he's like he attacks him in the Daily Bugle and all this stuff with
Daily Planet.
A Daily Planet.
Yeah, Spider-Man's the other one. Yeah, we'll get there.
As Clark Kent.
And he's like, oh, the Bat, and then that's when Perry White's like, no one cares about Clark Kent taking on the Batman. I'm like, well, why are we watching this fucking movie? That's the name of the movie, dude.
Yeah, I think they will resolve.
Oh, by the end of it,
somewhat their differences.
Yeah.
By the end of the movie.
Well, because both of them have strengths, and the thing that makes them so great as partners is that they balance each other out.
And there's also some speculation that there's going to be a larger villain in the movie.
Doomsday, I think I've heard a lot.
Doomsday.
Well, yeah. I don't think they should see.
There's speculation that he's going to be in it. So if that's the case,
he could be like their Thanos, basically.
That'll be a reason for maybe toward the end of the movie for them to get together. Because when is Justice League coming out? Like a year, 2 years from now?
2017 maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's already a release date for Justice League Part 2 already. So
yeah. They're gonna have Cyborg, and they're gonna have Aquaman. They're gonna
Ben
have
Affleck's
Green
directing
Lantern
his own Batman
Corpse,
movie. Yeah, that's a good idea too, by the way.
Having a Green Lantern Corpse and not just Green Lantern.
Yeah. You could bring in Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart and whoever else you want.
Yeah.
Some of those alien creatures, have them come too, and then sort of spin it off that way. But I don't think they should have.
There's speculation
in there.
Too that Chris Pine has
Steve Trevor or Hal Jordan is what I've heard. It's gone back and forth.
Yeah, the speculation is that he has both the roles.
Can choose one
to choose from.
Right.
I don't think they'll have him do both roles.
No, obviously.
Play him obviously, but they'll be like, oh, you could play this one, you play this one. Which one?
If I was him, I would be Hal Jordan.
Yeah, I would think that he would pick that one.
He's different, and he's got a different enough sensibility from Ryan Reynolds that he could pull it off and not have people be like, oh, you're trying to do the other guy, sort of, and that other guy sucked. Yeah. But no, I don't think they should have Doomsday in there. I think putting in
it'll be too much.
Batman and Superman and Justice League and Lex Luthor and something else like Doomsday, I think that's no good.
I think that would be something that they maybe put to like the credits.
Post-credits scene where one of them is like looking at a screen and it's like, oh, something bigger's coming. Something like that. And then that's fine. Leave that in. Doomsday is not a Batman v Superman villain. Doomsday should be a Justice League villain.
Yeah.
That's what you save him for.
Yeah. That's what I think I think Doomsday is going to be the reason that they come together. That's why I was saying that. And that might be when the Flash and I think you won't. I don't think Aquaman you're going to see any of those people because I know they're going to have they're going to have appearances in the movie, but they're not going to be like a big part of the movie.
Well, one of the rumors is that you'll see them like on screens and like Lex Luthor or Batman, somebody will be watching them.
Oh, okay. Like
Aquaman, like being held captive by Lex Luthor or something. So. And then maybe Wonder Woman and Batman are working together to save these other people. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation right now.
Okay.
But did you hear? I wanted to tell you this before we move on to Ant-Man and stuff. So basically, you're hesitant. You're cautiously excited about Suicide Squad, but like excited about Batman v Superman is what we sound like.
I am excited about Suicide Squad, but the teaser wasn't enough for me to really get pumped up.
What about Harley Quinn?
About it yet?
What do you think about Harley Quinn in there? Does it seem like a good take on
I liked Harley Quinn, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Harley Quinn, even
it's
with
just like
the pictures and everything,
movie?
it seemed like she would be a pretty good...
Yeah. Is it just the tone, and you're like, how is this going to work exactly? Because it is so different from any other comic book movie.
It just didn't give me that whole like feeling of excitedness about the trailer.
Right.
I don't know. It just wasn't anything that got me like, oh, I'm so excited.
Right.
To see
Well,
that.
it's also characters,
but it's early though.
It's not. It's also not like
that's next year or something, right?
That's in August next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then Batman and Superman is in March. I'm sure they'll have something in there to
By the way, I was looking at a calendar of the superhero movies.
Oh yeah,
all of them
on here. Yeah,
all of them. It's like 6 movies. There's gonna be 6 movies, 6 superhero movies every year.
So let's see. Next year we got Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, Gambit, all from Fox. Then we have Civil War,
Suicide Squad,
Batman, Superman, Suicide Squad. Is there another Marvel? Is there another one? Doctor Strange. 7.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
And then there's nothing from Sony because Spider-Man movie doesn't come out until 2017 because they're working with Marvel now, obviously.
So I counted it down. It's like 6 movies every year.
Wow, at least
within no more than like 2 months within each other.
Hey, if they're all good, I'm all about it. If they start to suck,
well, the great thing about it is
is
that they're all from different companies.
Right. Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, Marvel comes out maybe 2 movies a year. Sony comes out maybe 1-2 year movies if once they do Spider-Man.
Right. Well, Sony only has Spider-Man right now.
Yeah, but they could also do a Venom if they want. They're not doing.
Well, they have the Spider-Man universe. I mean, when I say Spider-Man, I mean that group of characters.
Yeah. And then they could do the Fantastic Four. I think they're planning to do a Fantastic Four too.
Well, I think they.
But it all depends.
If this one does shitty, watch how fast they drop the plans for that.
They might hand it over to Marvel after that. That would be great.
I'd rather see
this Fox, right? Fox has that.
I think Fantastic Four are trying to force together X-Men and Fantastic Four. Fox trying to force together X-Men and Fantastic Four, which they're planning on doing at some point. Is really awkward, and Fantastic Four would mesh so much better with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, throw Reed Richards in the lab there with Bruce Banner and Tony Stark and Hank Pym, who you don't need like Fantastic Four and X-Men. I just don't see those two don't really click as well. You know what I mean? And X-Men is so broad. It's not like Spider-Man where he's like, we got this one guy and all his people. X-Men is like X-Men, X-Force, Deadpool. Everybody is pretty much strong enough to have their own spin-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just make movies on X-Men property characters like for the longest time. So at this point, are you more excited about Batman v Superman or Captain America: Civil War? Because Kai asked me the other day, and I was like, probably Batman v Superman, I guess.
I read a fair amount about the Civil War too, and I might have to go Civil War.
Really? Even though we don't have any footage of it yet?
Yeah, just because I know somewhat of what's to expect, and I know that there are a lot of different characters that are going to show up, like Ant-Man and,
Pretty much everybody from the MCU is going to be there.
Pretty much.
Minus
and
Hulk,
Spider-Man. Even Spider-Man.
Well, rumors are that Hulk might show up at some point. It's unclear. Or Mark Ruffalo,
I don't know if
he's not in the story though in the comics.
Yeah, originally they were at the end of Ultron. They were thinking about maybe having him sent away
to space or something.
And then that would set up for Planet Hulk
or Guardians. He could show up there,
and then they were thinking, they do maybe a Planet Hulk movie, and then he'd come back.
That would be expensive though.
That would be expensive. That's why they didn't do it. Right. I think
they were like, okay, Guardians
like,
too.
We want
them
to do. Yeah, we want them to do. We want him to be when Thanos comes.
I think,
so we're gonna have Hulk.
The upper management was like, we've seen those tickets for those last 2 Hulk movies. Yeah, that would like a Hulk movie in space that's basically all Hulk, no, not Bruce Banner, for 2 hours. That would be easily probably $200
But that's cool. They're bringing back Ross, General Ross.
Yeah, right.
It's cool. They're bringing him back.
Finally, jeez.
That means they're acknowledging that that's part of their universe.
They were almost close to being like, that one doesn't count. We'll just set it aside.
Yeah.
That's the black sheep of the MCU, essentially.
Yeah. Because they gave him everything they wanted in a Hulk movie, and then no one saw it anyway.
Right.
So
I like that movie. I think it's good. It's not one of my favorites, but it's
better than Iron Man 2.
It's better than Iron Man 2. It's better than Thor: The Dark World. It's more. It's like towards the latter half of. It's in the bottom half of Marvel movies for me, but it's like. not at the not like bare bottom. You know what I mean? It's solid, but it's not. It's no Avengers. It's no, Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Do you think someone is gonna die
in Civil War?
In Civil War.
Yeah, I think I know. Can
we Captain America?
I think it's gonna be Captain America. Yeah, doesn't he die in the comic?
He does die in the comic. Well,
not during Civil War, but like soon after or something. Plus,
Crossbones isn't. It's been rumored that he's not even really gonna be in the movie that much.
Crossbones, he is though.
He's not even gonna be in it that much though, because his shooting time, from what they saw, wasn't that long. It was only like a week or two.
So put a stuntman in the mask for the shots you need him just to be there. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but they don't. No, but they would have the actual guy. They're saying that he might not even actually be there, even though he's not the one that actually does the killing shot.
I thought he does.
No, it's this woman that was hypnotized or something that does the final killing shot, and that's what kills.
But Crossbones is the one that makes the first shot.
He makes the first shot that.
Oh.
I don't think that shot kills him. I think the one that with the other.
And they set up that antagonistic relationship between Crossbones and Cap so well in the second one.
Someone is going to die because I was looking.
Who do you think it is then?
Well, I was looking through the IMDb stuff, and it says funeral mourner. There were a couple funeral mourners.
Oh wow! Look at you doing research for the podcast.
There was one like snooty funeral mourner or something like that. And
do you think it's going to be a major character or just like I mean
that could mean anything. A small person dies.
Well, I mean if they want to kill somebody, then have it be emotional, but not have it be a superhero. That would be an easy way to kill off Peggy Carter towards the beginning. She's like 600 years old and like already has Alzheimer's. It could be that. I mean, the way I see it, Marvel seems like
Don Cheadle.
No, not the black guy. That's mean. He's still around. What's wrong with him? He's good. War Machine's fine.
I think that it might save Captain America maybe for Infinity War.
Yeah, but don't they bring him back in the comic books at some point anyway?
Well,
I mean, it's comic books.
They bring everybody back in the comic books, but the Bucky picks up the thing as Captain America.
And then also at some point Falcon does too. So you have two backup Caps standing by, right, basically, already in the MCU.
Yeah.
And established and embraced by the fans. Like people really like Winter Soldier's that character. People really like Falcon. We'll get to that.
They're bringing his Falcons has like a little like bird sidekick too.
Really?
Yeah, and they're bringing that into Civil War, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of like a drone type thing. That's like a little like electronic sidekick.
Interesting.
I read they're bringing it.
Maybe. Well, now he's with Avengers. They have Stark money, so I mean that would make sense.
But I think maybe like Hawkeye's gonna die.
Oh, you think so?
Well, because he's supposed to die.
But they faked this out.
I read
spoilers first of all, spoilers for Avengers: Age of Ultron, the MCU in general, and of course Ant-Man, because we're gonna transition right into that.
Well, he's supposed to die. Hawkeye is supposed to die.
Well, but they teased us with that.
That's why they teased
to be like, oh, he's gonna die. No, he's not.
In Ultron, because there's big speculation that he's supposed to die, and so.
Well, he's the weakest of the first generation Avengers.
Well, there's more of a reason why he dies and everything, but he dies in the comic books, so that's one of the reasons. But I think I think there'll be multiple deaths in Infinity War.
Okay, but not. Like but what about Civil War? Are we talking about Civil War or Infinity War? You're jumping ahead now.
I think maybe like one in Civil War, but I don't know if it'll be a
Infinity
big
War. There needs to be like this is okay.
I think maybe that's like Don Cheadle or something.
That's their chance to be like, all right, cleaning the slate. We're keeping some main people, other people. Plus, their MO their pattern seems to be. We have their major characters. They get a trilogy of solo movies, and then that's all the solo movies.
I don't even think Thor is going to be in Civil War.
No, I don't think so. Well, he's got other things to deal with.
Well, Ragnarok is another thing, because I read something that they think that Thor's going to die in the beginning of the movie.
Of Ragnarok?
Yeah.
And
then they think he's going to come back toward the end again.
I don't think they'll kill him, at least not like in the middle of his own movie.
No, I think he's supposed to die at the end and then come back to life at the. Well, I think that's how it happens.
Or be presumed dead. What is Chris Hemsworth busy? Dead. Is he too busy to show up for his fucking movie?
Huh?
Is Chris Hemsworth too busy, like filming Vacation?
No, I think this is like a comic book thing. I think it's like
know about that.
But anyways, Odin's son is probably dead already.
Odin, yeah,
because of Loki taking the throne, and Loki's probably gonna die.
Well, people are speculating that Loki took the throne and that he possibly is still in league with Thanos. I don't know, because they still have one of the Infinity Stones there, and that kind of thing.
He was right in the same room with the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
With the glove.
Yeah.
And the glove is,
I'm gonna have to handle myself or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the glove is in I'm blanking.
Okay, but would they really kill Loki again after they fake killed him already in the second one?
Yeah, I mean they would.
I think they need to drag that out again before they kill him again.
I think
he's such a fan favorite. How do you kill him and actually let him be gone for a little bit at least?
They're also saying that Heimdall would probably.
I could see that. He's boring too. His character. I mean, he's cool, but he's not essential. You know what I mean? You're not gonna. They're never gonna make a Heimdall movie. First of all, and Idris Elba, he talks a lot of shit about those movies. Like, oh, it's a pain in the ass to do it, whatever. I think the only reason he's still in it is because he's under contract. Pretty much. So he's going to come in, he's going to do his thing, and then he'll probably get killed off.
Yeah. I think Loki will get killed off
pretty
too.
Much the only...
And I think Odin will get killed off too.
Pretty much the only...
And then that's when Thor is going to have to stay there.
Right.
And because he's going to be the
and
new
then,
heir
bye-bye, no more Avengers for him.
Yeah.
And maybe, if they want, they can get Chris Hemsworth to come in, do like a cameo for this thing, and still be there, but not be there. And then he can settle down with what's-her-face? Not Natalie Portman, she sucks in those. Jamie Alexander, Sif.
Yeah, Sif. That's gonna be.
They're gonna end up together by the end of that third movie. I think. Maybe they'll finally kill Jane Foster, or they'll just write her out completely. I don't know. That character's never really been interesting to me.
I don't know.
Despite how great I think Natalie Portman is, but yeah, I would be surprised. I don't see Thor or Sif dying and not making it out of Thor Ragnarok alive. I think what you said makes a lot more sense. I think he's going to have to assume his destiny, essentially, which is to be that. Okay, this is the thing. Thor's destiny since the first movie is to be king of Asgard, right? Essentially. The beginning of the first movie, he was going to be crowned king, but he wasn't worthy, so he got sent back, and it started this whole trilogy of distraction for him not getting there. Cap's thing, his destiny has been to basically sacrifice himself for his country and his friends and stuff. He tried to do it at the end of the first movie. In that one scene, even the middle of the first movie, he jumps on the grenade to try and save people in training, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to die in the end of the third one. And then, of course, they'll bring Chris Evans back at some point. But in the meantime...
The end of Civil War.
The end of Infinity War, maybe, or something.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
So you don't think he'll die at the end of Civil War?
I think he'll die in the end of Civil War, and then reappear in Infinity War.
Why would he reappear?
Who the hell knows? It's comic books. They can make up whatever.
No, he's not going to come back. Once he dies,
because Chris Evans also
this is
now
not a comic book where
you mean like Nick Fury, Loki, fucking everybody who has died and come right back to life like in the next movie?
No. I mean Loki uses his mirage thing to pretend like he died, and Nick Fury
he just fakes his death.
He just faked his death.
I guess.
Which you expect that from Nick Fury because
he's shady.
He does that all the time in the comic book.
Yeah,
he has these drones.
As Tony Stark said, his secrets have secrets.
Yeah, he has like robot drones and stuff.
Yeah,
all the time that die, and it's not really him that died. He's still alive. He's
what is that thing? The knife and bottle decoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you expect it from those kinds of characters, but Captain America, he doesn't come back to life. He has people that take the role of Captain America,
unless he's frozen for 70 years.
If he dies, I think
that's it for him.
I think that's it, and Bucky would take over his spot, and then he would be the new Captain America in the Infinity War.
Yeah, maybe. And I'm open for whatever. I think Captain America has the strongest set of movies from all of this as far as the solo franchises go. So I just hope that they finish it strong and that whatever they do is true to the character. But anyway, that we got a little bit of a Civil War tease in Ant-Man in the post-credits scene. Actually, I read
Bucky and
when they found America. Was he like held there? His arm was stuck or something? What was that? That seemed random.
I think
is that a trap they set for him or something?
They might have They might have been
unclear.
holding him there.
It was unclear. Who, though?
Captain America.
Okay.
Might have been holding him there because
they don't trust Stark.
They've hinted that Bucky is the reason Tony Stark's parents died.
I heard that too.
So they're trying to keep it under wraps because if he finds out, then that's going to probably be the big reason why him and Tony... Well, besides the fact that...
The Superhero Registration Act or whatever they're calling it.
But I don't think they're going to... They said that they're not going to do that.
Well, because there's no secret identities, but you still have accountability, and as Hank Pym said as Ant-Man, the Avengers are like dropping cities from the sky. And
I think the big dispute is going to be whether or not they take orders from the government.
Right.
Or
it's
not.
Still accountability.
They act like soldiers.
Right.
And also probably because of the thing with Bucky as well, because he's gonna find out about him eventually. Because I heard he's gonna be a big part of that movie.
Yeah, this is what I've heard too.
So yeah, I if Captain America dies, which is very likely in that movie, then Bucky will be the new Captain America for the Infinity War. So and that's gonna be the first appearance of Spider-Man 2, the new Spider-Man.
In Civil War. I wonder how it's unclear how big a role he's going to have, if he's just going to be like, hey, I'm here too, and jump up, or if he's going to be like integral to the story. I don't know. I don't see him unmasking himself like he does in the comics because we don't even know this guy yet. He's still young. He's not like a veteran Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which is why when
they were thinking about maybe taking the Tobey Maguire
I think that was my theory, that they should do that, because if they did that...
I thought I read that somewhere, though.
Maybe it was a rumor thing, but my idea was they should take Tobey Maguire, bring him back as Peter Parker, and just sort of inherit those Sam Raimi Spider-Mans into the MCU, even though the third one's kind of whatever, but so is Iron Man 2, so whatever. And just have him be like a veteran Spider-Man that's been doing this a while, and then have him unmask like in the comic book, and then just go forward with him as Spider-Man from there.
With Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, I thought that would have been fine. I mean, he's in his 40s, but I mean, they're all in their 40s now.
They want to start fresh.
I get it. They don't want to have to be stuck with any previous versions, because they could have just taken Andrew Garfield if they were going to do that.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate because
they don't go back; they just go forward.
Right, and I understand that from a marketing standpoint, you want to start your version of the story where it starts. Yeah. Not be like, all right, we'll bring this other guy, because they didn't. Ultimately, that wasn't Marvel's decision to be like this guy, because that was Sony doing their own thing with the Marvel name, basically.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand that, even though it's sort of unfortunate that we're getting now our third Spider-Man in basically a decade. It's like, really.
Well, at least now they're gonna have Marvel's cooperation,
right? And I'm sure it'll be amazing, because amazing. I'm sure it'll be awesome, because I think somebody, I don't know who said it. Some comic book writer said it, that Spider-Man is essentially Marvel's Mickey Mouse, and it's kind of true. He is their most popular, probably their most recognized character. I mean, now he has some more competition with other stuff. No, I wasn't that guy.
I think he's dead.
Yeah, he might be. But he is essentially like one of with the broadest appeal. Everybody knows Spider-Man. Everybody likes Spider-Man. So I can understand that. So, do you want to get to Ant-Man?
Yeah, Ant-Man. Let's
all right.
Let's talk about
how did you feel about? Well, first of all, what were your expectations going in, knowing that? I mean, I had maybe very vague knowledge of what the hell Ant-Man was until the marketing and the development of this started.
I knew a lot about the character Ant-Man.
Well, you watch the animated shows and stuff more than I do, and so you of course.
Yeah, and I read stuff about the comics and everything, and I know about the character and before I went to the movie, but I didn't know how. I was a little nervous about how they would do Ant-Man. So, but I thought it was really, really good the way they did it.
Is this going to be another situation like last year where you're like, it's my with Guardians, you're like, it's my favorite movie of the year. I'm like, what the fuck? Seriously?
It was.
I know it was. Is the Ant-Man's going to be a repeat of that, or we're going to be like?
Well, it's not. The year's not over yet.
That's true. Well, is it your favorite movie of the year so far?
Maybe a superhero movie.
Oh, okay. Well.
What other two movies have we had this year?
Oh shit, I don't know. Well, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then
it's better than that, definitely.
That's it so far. It hasn't.
I would say
very light.
Better than that.
It's been. I like the Avengers better. It's been very light as far as superhero movies this year, because everybody's sort of on and off here. Sony's working on their thing. DC is gearing up for next year, and Fox is sort of Fantastic Four comes out.
Yeah, Fantastic Four is coming out on August 7th.
I mean, I want to see that. I'm not like excited about
Isn't
it.
there something coming on like
I don't know.
Jessica Jones? That's what's coming.
Yeah,
on.
it's a
I was
TV
like,
show.
that's a TV show.
Yeah.
I was like, something else Marvel's coming
But
out
next,
toward the end
because
of the year.
Fox and DC are like 2016, we got it, because they have like a shit ton of stuff coming out next year. But yeah, this is actually a little bit of an off year for everybody except Marvel, which is funny. No, I liked Avengers: Age of Ultron better. I like those characters better, and I think the story was more engaging, even if it was uneven and they did try and pack too much and kind of zip along too fast. Ant-Man was good, but I mean, it was just very sort of, a lot of it was very mediocre to me. I'm like, oh, and he's got a daughter that he has to prove himself to, and it's like in an origin story where the older mentor trains him, and I get that that's a good way to introduce that character, but I also don't really care about this character. And even after the movie, I think his abilities are cool, and I really think he would be kind of a fun, cool addition to an Avengers film, like a team-up, like if Iron Man's doing his thing, and Hulk's doing his thing, and Ant-Man's going getting small, getting big, fighting, punching, and doing stuff with ants. That would be cool.
Eventually, he also gets bigger.
But, yeah, Giant Man, I know. Yeah. But do I really give that much of a shit if they ever do an Ant-Man sequel?
And apparently he's supposed to have, I think, that by Civil War. I think
really?
he's going to have the giant suit in Civil War.
Wow,
and apparently, a Giant Man is supposed to die. And
I doubt they're not going to kill him.
Well, no, they're not going to kill him. Oh, well, man, I don't know.
Right, yeah,
several superheroes
die.
What
kind of
Captain America dies, but he's not the only one that gets taken down. A Giant Man dies, and he's buried at full huge form. Yeah. So
that's a weird visual for a movie. I don't think they're gonna do it that way.
No, yeah. But he
like, keep digging.
Well, I don't know if it's Giant Man or it's like it goes by a different name, like.
Keep digging. They're just constantly digging. The whole movie is like he gets killed at the beginning of the movie. The whole movie's all the MCU like grab a shovel. That's why they're all showing up digging his grave because it's like so freaking massive. That's funny. No,
but I don't think that he's gonna die.
It depends. We don't know what kind of contract they got Paul Rudd on.
They said maybe like he might get that suit by that movie or something. So.
But I mean, I as far as seeing more of that character, that sounds cool, and I'm down for that. But I don't really care if they make an Ant-Man sequel. I'm sort of like, and considering how it did well, but not awesome, I don't know what the chances are we're gonna get one anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think they all need sequels. I think you're like, here's this guy, and then you're like, okay, cool, throw him in the mix. We don't need like a whole movie about him.
Yeah.
I think Doctor Strange and Black Panther have way more chances of being like really compelling. Where I'm like, I want more of that fucking guy now.
Black Panther and Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Because Ant-Man's more limited.
I like Doctor Strange's backstory anyways.
Yeah.
And being a surgeon and everything.
Yeah, that could be interesting. That could be a really compelling movie. I'm really excited about that, actually.
Well, because he's supposed to be a dick.
Right.
Before he even becomes Doctor Strange. Well, he is Doctor Strange.
That's his name. But yeah,
that's his name.
This mystical power.
But before he has like the whole sorcery and gets chi and all this stuff and goes... He's a surgeon that's a complete asshole and a dick, and then he gets in a car accident that he long story short, he changes his ways around from that. So I think that sounds like for a lot better of a story. But I mean, Ant-Man, I like how they switched. They took Hank Pym out of the mix. Because he's kind of like the more riskier character.
Well, I mean, I know there's comics where he like develops a split personality or schizophrenia and like beats his wife and crazy shit, and they don't want that. Like we were just saying, DC is the darker one. Marvel is supposed to be like family friendly. Watch the movie, get excited, go buy toys.
Oh, going back to DC and dark, Robin is supposedly dead by that point too.
Yeah, that's the suit.
Yeah. And the ha and all that stuff.
There's actually a really good fan theory about that I wasn't going to mention because I didn't want to get into it. But there's a fan theory that I read about a couple of days ago that's about whether or not Jason Todd was killed but then somehow survived or came back and actually became this version of the Joker.
Yeah, I
read about that?
I read about that.
I was like, that's fucking crazy. And then I read some of the logic to it, like that there is a precedence for Jason Todd becoming Red Hood, which is what Joker becomes at some point. And I'm like, that could be a really interesting twist, and sort of, maybe the original Joker is dead, and then Jason Todd sort of took over as the new Joker.
Yeah,
that would be interesting, and we have never seen that storyline depicted on screen at all. And what's smart is that DC
and they've been wanting Red Hood to come on screen.
Yeah,
for
and
a while, too.
what's interesting is that DC is doing all the characters that we've like, not all the characters, but they're doing Batman and Superman, but they're doing it in totally different ways. Like the casual moviegoer doesn't know jack shit about Robin's dead. What the fuck? What is this about? You know, they're bringing things to movies that have never been done before, which is interesting. But anyway, back to Marvel and Ant-Man. But yeah, so Robin is supposed to be dead in there and stuff. But
yeah, so there are a lot of cool things in Ant-Man. I liked with the reporter, and she's like, oh, I got a person that swings, and the person referring to Spider-Man, and Falcon's talking to her, trying to find
that climbs walls. Is what the Spider-Man one was. Yeah.
And then how he's like, I'm not an Iron Man or something like
that.
It's
not some cute tech like the Iron Man suit.
And Hank Pym was talking as Iron Man being like inferior because he doesn't like Tony Stark that much,
right?
And
they showed Howard Stark.
They showed Howard Stark.
They got the guy from Mad Men who played him in Iron Man 2 in that video thing.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah. So they got Peggy Carter and they got Howard Stark, and then they got this other guy
who ends up being with Hydra.
Well,
yeah, we already said that up front. But.
And then, but they ended up getting one of the yellow jacket
I noticed
serum.
That. Like, the fuck? They got the what is it called? Cross particle because the guy named it after himself.
So that's gonna be a fuck up later.
I'm sure that'll happen at some point. I don't know when that'll come into play, but do you think that as far as the villain side of things, do you think when they get to Infinity War, do you think Thanos is somehow connected to Hydra, to Loki, and then they could possibly even bring Red Skull and Abomination back?
No, I don't think it's that much.
Which is supposed to be multiple villains, it's not just Thanos. I'm sure he's working with others. It's a good opportunity to bring in other bad guys.
I don't think Thanos.
I don't think Thanos would
working with Hydra. I don't think
he
Thanos
might not
would
give a
work
fuck about
with Hydra.
What about Red Skull?
Red Skull. Red Skull has been known to work for Thanos, maybe.
That was a waste of a character for him to just be in one movie and then gone. Red Skull was really cool. Even if you don't get Hugo Weaving back, put somebody else in the red makeup. It's fine. We'll forgive it because we want to see him return at some point. Because he went in the
Red Skull
Tesseract and up.
Red Skull works for Hydra. He's like the head up of Hydra.
Well, yeah.
But at one point, I think Red Skull works for Thanos.
That would be cool.
So I don't know. You can play it either way,
right?
But I don't think a whole organization of Hydra would be working for Thanos.
Oh, I said connected to, yeah. I mean,
connected to.
Ultimately,
maybe.
Also, if Thanos is the Mad Titan and like running shit in the universe, I don't think he fucking cares about some human organization.
I think Hydra might be something that ends in Civil War.
Really? You don't think? What if Thanos is the one that does the smackdown and basically in one fell swoop dismantles?
Or it's believed that it's. Huh? What does?
What if Thanos like dismantles Hydra? Like I don't know, just shows up and boom, Hydra's like obsolete now. Somehow, I don't know.
I don't think that it would. Do it like that.
Anyway, we gotta stay focused.
I think that they would believe that Hydra's dead completely.
Right. Cut off one head.
Civil
Two
War.
Heads take its place.
Well, because it's ultimately Hydra that is behind like
everything.
Some of the other So, in the Civil War,
they're essentially the Cyberdyne of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far.
Yeah. So, with it ending after that, it seems like it would be more fitting. Now with the Infinity War, that's more of like a universe threat.
Right.
So then that's when you bring Guardians in.
Hell yeah.
You bring in maybe if Nova comes in with the Guardians 2 or something.
Probably.
Then that's when you bring them in, and then you get all the all the heroes in to fight Thanos and whoever else
is involved.
Is involved. I don't know.
So back to focus. Let's try and focus mostly on Ant-Man. It's easy to speculate on all this other stuff because there's a lot happening with that. So that was my feeling. I mean, I just felt like the storyline was good, but sort of paint by numbers, and I don't know. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. You can read the review obviously online. And I thought it was good, and it was solid, but it was fun, but it didn't impress me, and it didn't, like, if people weren't into this kind of movie, I wouldn't be like, yeah, but you gotta watch this one. I'd be like, yeah, you don't need to, just wait till the next one comes out. You know what I mean? There's nothing in it that was exceptional.
No, but it's a startup movie. It's the first movie, so you couldn't really be like, oh, you know, it's
guess.
going to be amazing because you got to introduce them to the whole concept
of Pym particles
of him, and he's stepping into this role, so you have to show the training and a montage of training and all this stuff. So it's not going to be incredible, you know, totally incredible, but you know,
right.
I like the part in the suitcase where he's like, it was something about
I'm gonna disintegrate you.
Yeah, and then,
playing Disintegration by what is it? The Cure.
Yeah,
and that was something that was fun.
That song came out with it was linked to one of the articles or the comics, because when that song came out, it was linked to like a comic that came out too. They do like a lot of these like dates and stuff or numbers. Like the number that Scott Lang had, it was like a comic book year and,
like
and day or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
came out, things like that.
And then the vacuum cleaner had Kirby, which was from Jack Kirby.
Oh, okay. Well, it's also like in that one scene where early on where Darren Cross is making fun of Hank Pym, and he's like, "Oh, you tell these story. There was this tall tale about the Ant-Man and like this technology that you supposedly had," and he's like, you know, nothing but you know myths or whatever, tales to astonish, which was the name of the comic book that Ant-Man first debuted in. Yeah. Things like that. I like that they do that kind of stuff, and a lot of obviously, if people are listening to this, they know that Edgar Wright, the guy that Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim, Hot Fuzz, that guy. That he was supposed to do this movie like a million years ago when he was developing it with Marvel before even Iron Man came out, I think. So he ended up dropping out like last year, but soon before filming began, you know, supposedly due to creative differences or whatever. I think it's mostly Edgar Wright wanted to make an Edgar Wright movie, and Marvel was like, well, yeah, but we also want it to fit with Avengers and this other thing, and you have to have Falcon or somebody show up and tie it into this and plant seeds for this other thing. And I think Edgar Wright was like, okay, I don't want to be like a fucking cog in the system. I want to make a movie that I want to make. And he was like, I'm out. So he's still credited here as like a co-writer and a producer and stuff. But I can't help, as a fan of his work, I can't help but be like, this would have been so much more interesting and unique if it had come from him and undiluted from his vision of it. And you see flashes of like the quirky fun humor that he would have brought to it, like in that scene that you were mentioning with the disintegration thing, or with like the train sequence and all that. That was real. Some of the scenes in this were really good. It's just the human drama stuff with, oh, my daughter wants to be in the suit and I don't want her in the suit. And I didn't give a shit about most of that. I was just like, okay, we know she's going to be in the suit because this is a Marvel movie.
It's
and
Wasp.
You wouldn't introduce her unless she was going to be Wasp. So there's no tension. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that they're like, there's going to be all these movies and everybody's been confirmed for it. Like for Avengers, for example, it was already officially announced that all those people were going to be in Civil War, except for Quicksilver. So I was like, all right, so Quicksilver's going to die.
There's another thing that I read about, like, in the flashback of him fighting briefly. Yeah. There was, like, this flag. There was, like, this 6 circles or something like that.
Oh, really?
And that's supposed to be, like, this big thing in the comic book thing. So that might be something later that shows up.
There was actually, I did a story for Screen Rant, I think, yesterday. There was supposed to be a different opening sequence for the movie where Hank Pym was in Panama and, like, on some mission. And I had this whole like big like almost and the director Peyton Reed described it as almost like an Invisible Man sequence where he was there fighting but you never really saw him, and it sounded to me a lot like the Nightcrawler scene from X2 where he's like punch and then punch, but you never really got a beat on what the hell is this guy doing this. But that they actually shot and edited it and then had to cut it because they didn't feel like it felt fit with the story. So now there's a chance we might see that either as a Marvel one-shot on a Blu-ray or as a deleted scene or something. But that sounds like that could have been really interesting. And that was in early drafts of the script that Edgar Wright was working on. So it's things like that where I'm like, okay, this would have been more interesting if you had gone with that. In large part, I feel like all the specialness, not all of it, but a lot of the specialness was stripped from it, and it sort of just became like a cookie cutter Marvel film by the end of it. The only things in it that I was really surprised by, it was like, oh, we're gonna invade the Stark warehouse, and then when he shows up, it's like, oh, it's not a warehouse. I was like, oh, the fuck, it's the base from the last movie, and that I didn't expect that. I didn't like read spoilers. Did that come as a surprise to you, or were you like, oh, here it is?
No. You
knew about that beforehand? I mean,
a little bit. It looks similar to the building.
Yeah. So, but you even before you saw the blueprint in the movie, you weren't like, wait a minute.
No.
You didn't like. Where's the part with the Avengers?
I didn't. Well, I didn't know before I went to the movie. But when I saw the movie in the movie,
so like seconds before
similar.
before you see him there, when they whip out the blueprints, you're like, wait a minute, that building looks familiar. So you were okay. So you were.
It seemed like the warehouse that they were in at the end of the Ultron movie.
Right. Okay.
So
that was a fun surprise,
yeah.
And I knew obviously they spoiled in the marketing that Falcon was in. He's like, who are you? And he's like. It's like, I'm the Ant-Man. Wasn't my idea.
Yeah,
whatever. It's like, I was out saving the world.
I knew
he was in it, but I thought it was going to be like a scene towards the end, being like, you could work with us. All right, cool. Or something like that. But it wasn't that. It was like a whole fight sequence where Scott Lang barely used that suit before, fucking took out an Avenger. And I like that they were like, he was like, can we just stop? Can we just acknowledge for the fact that I just beat an Avenger? That was all cool. That I like that. So that, I don't know. It's weird because I like when the movies are really unique and special. Like, as much as I don't love Guardians of the Galaxy as much as you, because I do like it and it's a fun movie and the soundtrack's amazing and the characters are fun and all that, I acknowledge that has more uniqueness, more originality, more style to it than Ant-Man. So it's like either take Ant-Man and do something original and fun and different with it that can sort of stand alone within the MCU, that's sort of standalone, but also be a part of drive the MCU's overall story forward, like Guardians did, or just make a movie and then embrace the fact that, okay, we're all here, this is the Avengers world, and things are happening. And I feel like Ant-Man tried to do both and kind of didn't really do either very well. You know what I mean? Like, it wanted to be standalone, but then we're hanging out with Falcon, so I'm like, okay, so you're not standalone. But it's also not engaging fully in the world.
But not,
you know what I mean?
They wanted it to stand alone, but not so much that you think of it away from the Marvel
I feel like it would have been
universe.
better either way if they would have embraced it one way or another. And that's why Avengers Age of
it
Ultron
essentially is a heist movie. And so you can't.
Right. Well, yeah.
It doesn't fit in, but it wants it to fit in at the same time.
But that's Marvel shoehorning things in there, and I think that's what pushed Edgar Wright out. But like Avengers Age of Ultron, as flawed as that movie is, and as many issues as I have with it, like, you know, basically the little coming attraction halfway through about like, ooh, this guy played by Andy Serkis, he's gonna be important later, keep an eye on for that.
Yeah.
And like, you know, trying to think of other stuff. All the stuff in there that was just like, oh, Thor, he's having a vision, something's going on Asgard, he better go investigate. Yeah. Things like that. At least they embrace the fact that, guess what? This all has consequence. There's a lot of shit going on that is going to spin into all kinds of different directions. And they embraced that and they rolled with it. So I wasn't expecting. So a lot of people were like, it doesn't stand on its own. It's part of the MCU. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's what the team-up movies are supposed to do that. The team-up movies, you're not supposed to be like, what's going on in Captain America's mindset? What's his character arc? It's like, there is no individual character arcs in team-up movies, really. I mean, there is, but there's not. It's more just these people have some crazy shit happening that's going to spin things out of control and take them off in different directions. And I feel like Age of Ultron accomplished that. And Ant-Man is supposed to sell me on that character, and it sort of did, but it also didn't get me excited about it. I'm excited. Guardians of the Galaxy, I liked it. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it a lot. Didn't love it like so many other people, but I'm excited to see more of those characters, and I want to see where they go next. Ant-Man, I'm like, I'll see you whenever I see you. It's like, fine. But as long as if other people are there, I'll be excited. If you're on your own again, I might be less inclined to get all worked up about it.
How dare you?
Sorry. So go. I went on for a while. What are anything to add to this, or?
I think we're pretty much done.
Are you in sync with that?
No, I'm not. But
you're not. No, go.
I liked Ant-Man. I thought it was a really good movie, and I think you're getting a little bit down on it more than you should. I thought it was pretty solid. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, it was fine. That's it. It was fine. It wasn't.
But it's the first movie.
It doesn't matter. It's also the 12th movie. It's the first movie, and it's like the 12th movie.
Yeah, no, but any first superhero movie, you can't raise the bar up here because you got to introduce the character.
I feel like Iron Man.
It's the 12th movie. It's the 12th movie. Yeah, sure, but it's you have to introduce. It's not a 12th movie with the same character.
But I feel like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Incredible Hulk. Maybe not Incredible Hulk. I feel like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy all introduced their properties better than Ant-Man did in the first movie?
Well, because they're all different. They're all different kinds of characters.
Well, so is Ant-Man, but I feel like it's a weaker movie than all the other ones I just mentioned.
Ant-Man's a harder concept to grasp because it's a guy who gets small.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta You gotta sell that. That means you gotta show more of the actual character getting small, practicing. You gotta have more of a likability for the person playing Ant-Man, so you dig Ant-Man. You know.
But I didn't 100% dig Ant-Man. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, Ant-Man. Ant-Man still would not be anywhere near the top of my list if I was like, oh, my favorite Avengers. Ant-Man's like, he's like a notch above Hawkeye, maybe. You know what I mean? He's like, they didn't sell me on it to the point I'm like, yeah, Ant-Man. I'm gonna buy an Ant-Man shirt and be all about it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I liked it. It was decent, but it's not going anywhere near my top 10 of the year, basically. But that's just me.
You've seen a lot more of the other people too.
What other? Oh, the other Avengers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know. But if I'm going based strictly on their first movie.
Well, if you see him once interacting with other Avengers or something, that might change later.
Right? Yeah, maybe.
Maybe if you see him a little bit more.
And maybe that's what Marvel's banking on. Like, this movie was a success, but not a runaway success. But then they'll bring him into Civil War, and they'll see him interact. And then if maybe Buzz will start, and people will be like, Ant-Man's fucking awesome. Marvel, when are we getting an Ant-Man 2? They'll be like, all right, we were waiting for it. Break glass. Here's the production starting.
Or maybe they are going to kill him in Civil War.
I don't think so. But I don't think we're going to see him in a solo movie for a long time, if ever, is my thing. But we'll see.
Well, what movie will he be in? He won't be in any movie.
He'll be in Avengers. He'll be in Avengers Infinity War. Civil War involves everybody, and then Avengers Infinity War, he'll definitely show up in there if he's not dead, obviously.
Yeah.
So, anyway. So, final thoughts. We both liked it. You liked it more than me. Kind of like Guardians, only it doesn't seem like you loved it to the same extent that you loved Guardians.
I don't like it as much as Guardians. No,
I gave it 3.5. What would you give Ant-Man? 4?
I'd give 4. I'd probably do 4.
All right. So, we're not that far off.
It's not like crazy good, but I think that it's still pretty solid.
Considering how ridiculously shitty a movie based on a character called Ant-Man could have been, you're like, I'll cut it some slack.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, no, I understand that. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
So okay,
cool.
I think this.
Anything else to go on?
I think. Well, no, I think
we talked we went way over this time, didn't we?
We're like an hour and 40.
Nice. Okay. All right. So you can follow. You can find us on crookedtable.com, read reviews of, I think, pretty much most of the movies we talked about. Find me on Twitter at crookedtable.
And I am at Freddy_Yanis, Yanis YANIZ.
Also, give us a review in iTunes. Let us know what you think of the show, what you want to hear us talk about next time. Any feedback is welcome. We really appreciate it. And join follow our Facebook page, all that stuff. We're totally track downable. So, feel free to interact with us. So I guess that'll conclude it for this episode of the Crooked Table Podcast. I'm Rob.
This is Freddy.
And roll credits.
And welcome to our encore segment where we talk about something in pop culture that is not entirely mainstream that we want to bring to your attention. So maybe so you can dig it.
That's right.
In your own personal time.
Well said. Well said.
All right. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Sure, I'll go for it.
Okay.
So I was going to talk about something that a lot of people who are listening to this are obviously into geek culture and stuff probably have heard of. But, hey, you can convert some newbies. I'm a big fan of writer and director Kevin Smith, and I really love his podcast. In particular, as a movie fan who's obviously passionate about comic book characters and superheroes and film and that kind of thing, I'm really gotten into his Fatman on Batman podcast. It initially started a couple years ago, actually I think around the time of The Dark Knight Rises, maybe a little before that, and it was pretty much the format was he would bring on people who were involved with the Batman character, whether it was in animated form or involved in the films or wrote for the comic books or whatever, and do like a sort of a basically straightforward interview with them about their experience working on the Batman and stuff. And it's evolved since then into, he still talks about Batman a lot, but it's sort of become a hub of like geek discussion. And he has a co-host of most episodes, Mark Bernardin, who writes for Playboy.com, and he does a lot of like film criticism and like discussion and analysis and that kind of stuff. And the two of them have a really good rapport, and they have this new segment called the Utility Belt, where they go run through all the like news items in the geek world. So all the like the stuff that we were talking about, they've talked about the Marvel world, DC, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just really interesting to hear them talk about it. It's if you're enjoying us talk about having like intelligent discourse about where this character's going or the way this is adapted from the page, and just talk about it with so much passion, and if you're really a fan of that genre, superheroes and other geek related properties, I mean, it's definitely worth checking out. It's called Fatman on Batman, and it's on iTunes, and actually on YouTube under his C-Smod channel. He also posts has most recently been posting some live versions of those where you can see him and Mark on camera, just like doing the podcast, and it's fun to get a different perspective on their conversation when you actually get to see them in person and see their eyes light up when they talk about something in Batman Superman that was so awesome or whatever. Yeah. So it's fun, and so I would recommend you guys check that out. So what about you?
Mine is something you can check out on Netflix, but it's an obscure, I guess you could say obscure sitcom. Okay. It's called Sirens.
It is obscure. I'm not familiar with that.
Dennis Leary is one of the creators of it, and it's basically dealing with people in uniform. Particularly the main characters are people that are that drive the ambulance. So it deals, the paramedics. So they deal with their everyday situations, and it's funny, and it has a little. Sometimes it can get a little dark, but most of the time it's like really, really funny.
Right.
There's only one season on Netflix, and they got canceled after the second season.
What network was it on? Like FX or something? He's done a lot of work with FX.
FX.
He did a Rescue Me show on FX for several years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it got canceled from FX, even though people loved it.
How long ago? Recently?
Yeah, this just got canceled.
Oh, okay, wow.
So the whole thing is that people are hoping that either like Fox or Netflix picks it up.
Right.
Instead.
Is it really racy? Like, would it be something that's too? I guess if people are hoping Fox, is it something that would fit on network television, or is it like slightly too racy for?
No, it would fit. It would fit on that. It's light. It's funny.
Well, the beautiful thing is now with.
It's not like one of those shows is like, a lot of sitcoms are like, oh, this is terrible.
Right.
Is
it 30 minutes or an hour?
It's 30 minutes.
Okay.
So that'd be
okay.
A regular sitcom length.
Right. Well, but I mean, with some comedies, like comedies, like dramedies or whatever, they're, again, not to mention Glee again, but Glee's technically a comedy, but it's an hour long, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, this isn't like a drama type thing.
It's straight up funny.
It's straight up like funny, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think people should check that out, and I feel like the more people that check it out on Netflix, they'll see the numbers, and they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe we should pick this up.
Is there a petition for that to be picked up? I wonder.
I don't know.
You know what? One thing I've been thinking about doing is I've been thinking about really fleshing out our show notes with links and things like that. So you know what? Take a look if you're listening to this, take a look in the show notes. I'll put some links in there with some information about about Sirens, about Fatman on Batman, and about some of the things we've been talking about.
Okay.
So, but the good news is for Sirens, if with all the streaming services out there, if no broadcast network or cable network wants to pick it up, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have Yahoo now does.
Yahoo does something?
They picked up season 6 of Community, which just recently ended. And they were airing that, and then Amazon too. So I mean, there's so many different venues now to put things out that hopefully they can find a hope for it somewhere.
Yeah, but I think actually Hulu now is starting to create their own shit.
Yeah.
Is Yahoo and the other one? Are they creating stuff?
I think
they
might
just
be
like re-airing episodes?
Amazon, and I think Hulu are, but
Hulu.
But
just
it's
started.
original. But it's not Hulu, Yahoo. I think they are too. But it's like it's original content that nobody's watching really yet, with the exception of Amazon has that Transparent show with Jeffrey Tambor where he gets he's a transgender person. With the exception of that, I mean, I don't think a lot of it's really gotten much media attention. So it's sort of like they're like trying to get the notoriety that Netflix has for that. So maybe picking up an established show with a fan base like that, even if it's relatively small in comparison to like people that are watching a lot of other things.
I think that's why they put it on Netflix to begin with, to try and like get a feel about how many people would look at it.
Well, and then Netflix never releases their analytics, so you gotta know.
And their rating is really high on Netflix too.
You gotta wonder what kind of numbers Netflix has, because if they're like they've signed the Crouching Tiger deal, or they signed a deal with like 5 movies for Adam Sandler to work with them, and as much as people are like, the fuck is this guy still making movies? He hasn't made a good one in like forever. You gotta wonder that Netflix sees an audience for it, so Netflix must have whatever Adam Sandler movies they have must be getting watched like a bitch, because they're like, there's a market for this. All right, Adam Sandler, here's X number of millions of dollars. Bring us some more content. So
how many movies does he have with them?
I think he's making like 5 or 6 or something. He's making
I thought I saw 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6. Well, there's one of them's called The Ridiculous 6, so maybe that's also what we're thinking too. I don't know, but it's several movies like that are going to be released directly to Netflix. So I guess
they're throwing out original stuff left and right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They are making tons of money off this.
It's insane.
So I mean, good for Netflix. I love Netflix.
Yeah, I know, me too.
You don't even need cable TV hardly anymore.
I don't have cable TV.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still waiting for them to put out Gotham Season 1, which they're supposed to do soon. And then supposedly they have a deal with Fox to, when Season 2 episodes air on TV, to then put them on Netflix like the next day or the next week or whatever.
That'd be really cool.
Because I write about Gotham a lot of times for Screen Rant, and I'm a Batman fan obviously in general. So I'm looking forward to getting caught up on what I missed of the season, which is most of it. So. But anyway, so yeah, we'll put links in the show notes for stuff, and anything else? Any parting words?
No, it sounds pretty good.
Do you have anything? What was that one thing you said that one time? Gouda's delicious. Do you have any other weird clothing?
Gouda's delicious? No.
Nothing this time?
No, nothing.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll get you next time.
Gouda's delicious. It's still delicious. Smoked Gouda is really good.
Ooh, remixing it.
Have you ever tried smoked?
Oh yeah.
It's like kind of yellow, with like a brown exterior.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, so good.
I feel like that's the most popular kind I see, honestly.
Yeah, it's so it has like a like a smoky.
I love Gouda. Kai is not all about it, but whenever I've gone somewhere and they have like Cuban toast, I'll go, can I get that with Gouda?
Do you? Sometimes I go to the grocery store and they're cutting up fresh fruit.
And I'm like,
can you melt some Gouda on that?
Can you hook me up? I think we can cut it.
Do you want some soda? Oh, can you just like put Gouda in it?
That's weird.
It's Gouda?
I don't know about that. Now you're taking it
Gouda.
Too far, man.
You go to Starbucks, like, oh, like instead of whipped cream, just put a piece of Gouda on top.
Just slice some cheese and throw it on top. It's fine.
It's fine. That's fine.
Just like French onion soup, just melt it over the top.
Yeah. What's your least favorite cheeses?
Least favorite cheeses? For a second, I knew we were talking about cheese. For a second, it sounded like, what's your least favorite Jesus? I was like, I don't know. All the Jesuses are fine. I'm not huge on Swiss, but I know most people aren't huge on Swiss. I'll eat it, but it's not like, if you give me a choice of anything other than Swiss, I'll probably choose anything. Unless it's American cheese. Fuck that shit.
Swiss is like a complimentary cheese.
It's like, here, we have this overstock, nobody wants it.
No. Swiss is like one of those things that singularly, all by itself, sucks. You pair it up with something, it tastes
decent.
Decent, yes.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's a complimentary cheese. It complements stuff.
Okay.
Like
it says nice things about
like
you.
red wine
you look
with
today. Thank
like
you.
red wine with a nice fillet.
Right.
You know, like red wine by itself, man, it may not taste the best. Have
like
it with
red
a
wine,
fillet, tastes really good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one of those things.
Right.
You put Swiss in a Reuben, not too bad. Corned beef.
Yeah, no, it's
not
fine.
bad.
It's fine,
Yeah.
but it's like if I have an option, if it's like, oh, what kind of cheese would you like on your burger? I'm like, what kind of cheese do you have? And they're like, provolone, cheddar, pepper jack, Swiss, mozzarella, blah, blah. I will be like, all of them other than Swiss.
You know what I heard?
But I hate American cheese is my point.
You know what
American
I heard
cheese is not
on
real cheese. Fuck that shit.
On burgers?
Yeah.
Brie.
I've had a burger. I've had burgers.
Had brie?
On it, I think before.
I hate brie.
Brie's awesome.
Sucks. Oh my god, you have what's going on with your
Get
taste?
out of here! Eat some brie and watch Inside Out.
What's
I don't
what's
understand
going on
you.
with your taste buds right now?
I like
with
everything.
burgers, I hear that brie complements.
So we need to have next time. We need to before we do
I'm
a
not
podcast.
having brie.
We should have a brie burger.
No, we're having
And then
Gouda
do
if
the
we're gonna.
You know what we need to go? We need to go to that
maybe,
burger
but
we need
if
to
we're
go to that
talking
one
about just
burger
singular
up in
cheese,
that one
Gouda.
burger place up in Lutz that we went with Justin that one time.
What like
That was
I don't even remember.
I don't even remember the name of it, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That was good shit. I need that.
All right, this concludes this week's podcast.
Welcome. This is ends this episode of the Cheese Appreciation Club podcast.
All right, roll credits.
Roll credits. Hey, that's my line.
This has been a production of crookedtable.com. All rights reserved.
The Yard of the Low KED.